Now, here comes the dynamic mixing. I already made it here, so I will just explain what is happening. The loudness of an instrument doesn't need to be always same. So while pad sounds, less or hi-hat sound or lead sound work nicely here, it doesn't mean that it will work nicely here. So you may figure out you want to change the loudness in the different parts. The simple explanation that you will understand straightforward is the cutoff filter. You open this up and cutoff opens up and the things get louder because now we are letting more frequencies go through, which will make it louder. You can either use a compressor to keep the level same, or you can let it get louder so that you can build expectation and aggressiveness. And that's same thing I think I had, for example, on the claps. Now, let me see if I had it here. Clap, here we go. This clap loudness is different from this clap loudness probably, or the character. I'm not sure which one I did. Let me listen. Right? This is bright. This is dark. Why? Because we are in the break. Also, the loudness is different. The main idea is I could rather automate this or make it dynamic that way, or if I see that this may repeat at some part, I probably use this one here as well in some point. Then I refigured out maybe it's better to use here, like one hit, right? If I see that I'm gonna, by the way, I'm probably blowing into the microphone. If I see that different part requires different character, timbre, and tonality and volume levels, you can either manually automate it or do it like this. Separate them together and mix them separately. And here in this case, again, the difference is I have the same thing here. Let me see how I mix this one. Let's listen here. Yeah, same thing. I'm making also this one darker. Also pan to the left, pan to the right. Also panning the chain. You see, this is really, really important. I cannot really stress this enough. This track, unfortunately, that doesn't have too much of this, but sometimes you can actually, especially if you have more than, I'm getting really excited for this topic, but if you have, let's say, more than 1, 2, 3, 4 lead sounds and hooks, you can actually decide, okay, in the verse, I want hook 2 to be louder and hook 3 to be less loud. In the break, I would rather go for hook 3 loud, put the hook 2 a bit on the background. In the chorus, okay, I want to go full hook 4 and put the hook 2, 3 and on the background. So the balance of the track is different in a different part of the track. This makes, like, listen closely, especially those very good pro tracks. You will hear that this utilizes tons of different times. Very classic approach, this one actually will be vocals. Like in pop music, they will do this with vocals a lot, like the vocals a bit quieter somewhere and a bit louder in some parts, and some parts like the back vocals are louder, some vocals, other vocals are louder. The instruments, like depending the volumes a lot, because pop music a bit, let's say, more minimal, they play a lot with this one. The techno is a bit more crowded, and because of that, this is a bit more forgotten trick, but I would strongly suggest utilizing this trick here. And here, like this one, just makes everything cooler, right? I need darker, deeper hits here. Right? Much in line with the emotion that we are going. And to the drop, we come back with our bright versions. Very, very cool. I'm thinking if I had any other examples of this one. I see here high string. It's only there. It's kind of the same idea. I think I'm just, yeah, creating this part. You can barely hear it. Let's create that extra layer. But sometimes you also do it with automation, right? I will probably, anytime you see the utility, this is more or less what I'm doing. Like either, one more thing, there is like a local dynamic mixing or the more macro dynamic mixing. These examples are macro mixing, right? Changing like a different part of track, now half dynamic sound, but you can also do macro dynamic mixing. That means that you have like a break like this and the loudness change over time, or the timbre changes over time. And this is more like micro dynamic mixing rather than having static sound, changing the character of the sound, so that you can have this more ever-changing character. Now, I'm going to also focus on now automations, because kind of, I'm not sure if I explain this one in the mixing or the arrangement. It's more micro arrangement in my theory book, but we are in the mixing now, and I forget to explain this in the arrangement part. Let's go with it. So whenever you have build-ups, or whenever you any place in your track, you want things to evolve a bit. You can evolve things a bit by changing the rhythm, changing the variation, changing the pattern, or you can also evolve the sound by changing the timbre of the sound. One classic example will be like whenever you have pad, stop forgetting about them. Pads are one of the most important sounds to make dynamic, because while they sit on the background, they will really make your track get more like a continuation is listen to upcoming things. Okay, that's the way it is. You see that here, I'm opening while it's like here, opens up, opens up, opens up, opens up, opens more, and so forth. The main idea here is just prepare listeners rather than having the static pads. Prepare, change the energy levels, increase gradually until the drop, and then cut them off so that we can probably do the same thing over here, right? Adding here, and you will always see automation on my pads because of that. I just wanted things like utility, right? I'm literally just changing the loudness level of the pads. This is like micro dynamic mixing. Right? Put it up is sometimes as simple. Let's do this way. So automate parameters, so I can see what we automated. Sometimes as simple as like really automating the volume levels, and sometimes just cutoff filter will do both at the same time. And it doesn't mean that you must always automate everything. Like here, I have some places there is like just the same sound. I think maybe not. It still changes a bit, but yeah. Say more constant compared to the other part of the sound. And the same thing applies here. Like if you go to the OR break, first and foremost, we have these things happening, right? And then I have gain here. Let me see. I'm pretty sure I automated this one, but probably I automated here. Yeah, right. This is the group. This is the break pads group. So what I'm doing sometimes, if I feel there's too many stuff going on, I want to not microarrange, I can put it into the group. That means that I can just have like a auto filter or any filter that you enjoy, then you can control the energy levels all together, right? And this is exactly what's happening on the break. Yeah, it's this one. And I'm pretty sure I'm having the same track take over here, right? I'm having EQ8 again. Look at this. Increasing EQ8, opening up the frequency 8, so it's kind of a low pass filter, and then even locally changing this one as well. Look at this opening up, right? So important, so simple, and so important. You can add so much character and so much character. Okay, it's not stopping. You can add so much character and so much accent or emotions just by like automating small stuff with your sound. I'm thinking like other automations that are important. We touch on the hi-hats, and the same thing with the hi-hats. Like, okay, another important thing when it comes to mixing is when you have having transitions, it's a good idea oftentimes to also reflect those transitions, right? One of the classic way of doing it, again, when it comes to mixing, is actually automating your hi-hat. Like when you are going like a break here, right? Right? It's just a simple kind of almost DJ sweep, but it just adds a character. Yeah, very simple. And it also helps you to kind of going more smoother transitions, like gradually decreasing here. What we do the first with the hold on. Look at this one now. Cut the automate the hats now. Right? This makes those transitions smoother, because rather than all the energy of the track is disappearing, what happens that we have energies dropping down gradually, which makes the listeners much more ready to upcoming transition. Now, you don't need to do it always. Of course, there are parts that you want this sudden extreme transitions, right? Here in the break, like pop up, pop up. I want that sudden change, but if you don't want it, rather than using a lot of risers and washes and blah blah, you can simply automate stuff to make more dynamically blend and mix together. I can talk about dynamic mixing for ages. Like this is the one topic that I love most. And most of the mixing decisions, like I was explaining each transient, there's the reason this is a bit harder now because we already talked all of them at each different parts. We mixed them already. And I'm thinking like, but I think that we will stop here. Like any other questions that you have, write on the comments here and I will try to explain as much as I can. All right, let's master now.